Hello everyone, I'm Delia Lajeunesse. I am a residential art curator. Today I am talking about starting an art collection as a renter. So I'll talk about why I think you should and some logistics of that. But I first want to address some big misconceptions and really the reason that I'm making this video. So most people hold on to the inaccurate belief that they need to be a homeowner of a certain income bracket and of a certain age before they can collect art. None of those things are true at all. And unfortunately, this belief is so pervasive that it really has forced art collecting and art collectors to remain in a very elitist, stagnant, and kind of fussy realm. My company is trying really hard to bring art back to the people and make it not only accessible, but really relevant to you. So I have already made a lot of videos about money and art. I'm sure I will make more. I've made some about age group, and I will definitely make more on that because I think that millennial and Gen Z art collectors are very important and have a lot of impact potential. But today I want to focus on the question of home ownership. I think this belief around homeownership and art collecting comes from a framework of owning a home as being the objective, and it is for some people, but increasingly, at least in my community, people are renting for longer. It often makes actually more financial sense to rent. We are a relatively mobile generation and don't necessarily want to be locked into a property, and a lot of the homes that we can afford are honestly not places that we want to live. I think that we as a culture also understood something about home as a result of COVID, and that is that home is critical, that it is so essential to live in a place that feels really good to you, especially if you're working from home. And renting very often is that place. It's less maintenance, you can afford often a much nicer place in a beautiful apartment building in a cool area, and you're not being priced out to the suburbs. That's kind of the context of where I am coming from and why I'm making this video. And by the way, I'm a renter in an apartment, so this is personal to me. I'm really an advocate for renters for a lot of reasons. And I think that there are thousands of people who are renting who yearn to make their home space really feel like a home to them. Maybe even yearn to collect art, but are putting it off because they have held on to this idea that you can't invest in your home aesthetic or your home vibe until you own. It's just plain misguided. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to actually make your space a unique and stunning reflection of your personality, of what you aspire to be, and really what makes you brilliantly you. But first, really quickly, why I think you should start now. So art collectors play a very pivotal role in our culture because artists shape culture and make meaning. Artists are directing our culture. They are pointing us towards our potential. Their work is often a little unrecognized, but contemporary artists are really helping us process our world. They are connecting us to our most authentic versions. They are providing us with a cultural landscape, which helps us feel connected to our community and really giving us this emotional and social tool to align with our purpose, drive towards the most beautiful future that we can imagine. Artists are amazing, and art collectors fund that. They critically determine who is getting elevated to platforms of influence, and influence is everything. So currently, art collectors are pretty wealthy, academic, elitist, typically white, and typically right around 60 years old. And if you want to hand this, you got to start now. So I think it's really important to step into that. Also, art collecting just takes time. It's a personal journey of developing skills and knowledge sets and discernment and personal strategies. We help all of our collectors do that in a very guided and tailored way to kind of expedite that. But if you're doing it on your own, it can take years and years to really develop an effective collection. So start now. And then the third reason that you should be starting an art collection this year is that it is so personally transformative. And basically, whoever you are, whatever personal growth moments you are undergoing, I can promise that art collecting would benefit you. It is so healing and shifting and powerful. Okay, that's my plea. Now, let's talk about logistics. So first and foremost, I advocate for prints for brand new art collectors and especially for renters. Truthfully, this is mostly logistical. So installing a print is a lot easier and more renter friendly than installing an original most of the time. Also, prints are really affordable and they allow you to experiment without, freaking out about making a $10,000 art investment. A print or reproduction is basically just a copy of the original in some form. Almost always on paper of some kind. You can print prints onto canvas, and I have my qualms about this, but you can certainly do it. If you do go the canvas route, it's usually of a much lesser quality, but perks for you, that means that it's really lightweight, so it's easy to hang. You're gonna need a frame for prints. I would say even if you print on canvas, so it has a more classic quality, you want a frame. When you install a frame as a renter, you have several really cool options that I'm gonna take you through. First, and most basic, you can use command strips. Prints are really lightweight and frames do not need to weigh 20 pounds, and command strips are amazing. Even if a print or a frame weighed a ton, those command strips are kind of nuts. They can hold a ton of weight. I'm personally a little bit obsessive about these. I really do think that you need to follow the instructions for a T. There's a waiting period for a reason, so follow the instructions. I also personally use more command strips than is probably required because I'm a little neurotic and I do not want a broken frame, but you do you. And then you just hang them like normal, wherever you want to put them. Even people who own homes, I will often recommend this strategy just because sometimes walls are concrete and that's a huge pain in the ass, or people like to move their art around and don't want a ton of holes in the wall. It is a great option. If you are worried about the command strip chipping paint, first of all, you can repaint or for whatever other reason. Okay, if it sounds like a headache to do command strips for whatever reason, I have two really cool alternate options. The first is leaning. I am seeing a lot of interior spaces with leaned art on a floating shelf, on a table, piano, even stacked on the floor. I think this works especially well if you have a lot of art and can play with dimensions, depth, and layers. There is a look about it that I'm really into, and clearly a lot of interior influencers are as well, and my God, that could not be easier. So feel free to frame it and just lean it somewhere. And then secondly is hanging the art in like a gallery wall type situation on chains on a suspension rod. There's a lot of ons on there. So you get a very beautiful suspension rod, think like a shower curtain, but pretty, paint it, or invest in a really nice one, whatever. You find a corner or an alcove where you can suspend it. You get a chain, something that kind of matches the frame or complements it in some way, and then you just hang the art from that chain and you have kind of like a hanging gallery wall. It's really cool. These photos give you an idea of what this will look like. They're not using a suspension rod, but you could see in the previous photo how you would put a tiny one between the lip of the windowsill and the wall. Okay, so those are 3 ways of installing. I've given you 3 reasons why you should, 3 misconceptions that you should be throwing out. The basic point here is just don't miss out on this because you are a renter. There are so many access points to art collecting that are really approachable, really renter friendly, and just so accessible in so many ways. And I find that people hold on to these misconceptions so tightly that they really can't even see those, and they miss out on this opportunity to experience the genuinely profound benefits of living with art and becoming an art collector for way too long because they are holding on to really random beliefs that do not serve them anymore. So I'm sure I didn't cover everything. If you are a renter and you have questions for me, please leave them in the comments below. I read it. I would love to answer them to figure out how I can help you, serve you, get you art collecting. So please just let me know. And thank you for watching this, and I hope to see you on this channel again soon.